my first question is this. Who were some of these guys? And I know the Senior Bowl is kind of a weird thing where your expectations coming in can kind of warp your perception of some of these players. But I'm sure you guys did a little bit of work on the front end before you got down there to Mobile. You had a couple of guys circled on your pad of paper to keep an eye out for. Who were some of these guys that you had in mind when you got down there, and then when you saw them in person, they met or maybe even exceeded your expectations?
Well, do you want to go first?
Why don't you go first?
You go first after you.
Me, I'll go first. Okay. Well, I think I would start. I watched a lot of the offensive linemen, and because I think that is the biggest need for the Tennessee Titans this offseason. Spent some time on defense watching the edge rushers and the linebackers. A guy that exceeded my expectations, I think, would be Tyler Steen. I think a lot of people were kind of down on him. I had really discarded him coming into the week, thinking, oh, he's just going to be, mid-round, safe prospect, Alabama offensive lineman. What you see is what you get. The tape on Steen is not very consistent. And then I come down here and I'm thinking, how is this guy not a first-round pick? I mean, he showed good finish, good drive in the run game. I thought he was had a nice glide in pass set reps, and overall looked like a really high floor candidate that I'm going to sound crazy. I mean, it's a little early to be saying completely unhinged things here, I know, but I would not be surprised if this kid ends up sneaking into the back end of the first round.
Wow.
Yeah, I would agree. I think he was a big surprise. I mean, as an Alabama fan, I expected nothing from Tyler Steen compared to, because I figured, okay, probably third round, fourth round flyer. He looked really great. You put him on the radar again, and you have a great article over at the SoBros Network.com that is details all of it. But the guy that I was most hype about coming to see, and the guy that lived up to those expectations and possibly exceeded them, was Tyjae Spears, a running back out of Tulane.
Oh yeah, and heard a lot about him this week.
Oh yeah, I mean it is real. And when we came down, we were talking about guys that were on our radar, and he was on Stoney's radar as well. But I likened him to Tony Pollard or Jamal Agnew, and he lived up to that explosiveness. That I got the ball in my hand, you're going to have to, either I'm going to have to trip over an offensive lineman, which a fullback out of Oklahoma did trip him up on one play. But we're talking he had back-to-back long runs and 11-on-11s, and he had a spectacular touchdown grab. And a lot of the questions surrounding Tyjae were, we always thought that he was going to be a good pass catcher anyway. He just wasn't given the opportunity. That turned out to be true. Really good pass catcher, really good route runner. But the biggest question has been his ability to pass block. And it was a mixed bag. I wrote about it for stackandinbox.substack.com. It was a mixed bag, but he was coachable, and the running back coaches were giving him all kinds of really audible praise that you could hear from the stands. So he got it was announced this morning that he got the, I guess their best practice player of the week award for both teams. And it's so deserving that I feel like I'm probably going to have basically I'm addicted to Tyjae Spears, and it will definitely not work out in my favor because he'll definitely end up somewhere else other than Tennessee Titans.
Right. Yeah. He's been a guy that the entire internet, including yourself, have been addicted to, and rightfully so. I mean, you see this video recently, and there's been a number of his clips this week floating around the internet, but the video of him making a move on a guy, people were saying he like went into a fourth dimension to shake this guy, a very fantastic route that's making its rounds on Twitter. He's absolutely a guy that has shot up the consensus board this week. And yeah, he's a guy that probably will be drafted. He came into this week as, I'm looking at the consensus board here. He came into this week as like a 5th, 6th, 7th round flyer. Wouldn't shock me at all to see him creep into the 3rd or the 4th, really.
If he gets out of the 2nd round, I'll be surprised. I mean, like that's how impressive for the week he's had. But it also coincides with the game film, right? Because I mean, when you watch the Cotton Bowl, everything that you saw versus USC shows up this week, and it's all in his 2022 Tulane tape. So the tape matches the practice, and I'm sure the combine is going to match all of that. And I think that if you're talking like running backs, Bijan Robinson is obviously number one. But I think there is a strong case that not only is Tyjae Spears the best running back down here, that he may be number 2. And if you're a team that wanted Bijan Robinson, you miss out on him, you could do a lot worse than Tyjae Spears as your backup plan.
I would agree with that. And the question about the reason the Cotton Bowl tape is so important, because the question around Spears was always the level of competition playing at Tulane. But when the stage got bigger, the lights got brighter, and the defense got bigger, he had 205 yards and 4 touchdowns against the USC Trojans. So for me, that was a lot of validation in terms of that. But then seeing him get down here and make plays, and Easton, the clip you're talking about, he smokes the Pittsburgh linebacker that's down here. He's had a pretty good week in his own right. Like, this is no slouch he's cutting on either. So great week from Tyjae Spears. I echo Zach's sentiment. I think he's going to get into the second round pretty easily.
That's fantastic. So you think he's up there? I mean, Zach, you're the resident Bama fan. You think he's in that like Jahmyr Gibbs, Tank Bigsby tier of running back after this week?
I would take him over both of them.
I would too. I think Jahmyr Gibbs does offer you the dynamic pass catching ability that Spears does, and I know he's a little more built for the NFL, if you will. But I like Spears over Bigsby, absolutely, because I think Spears is just going to be an all around weapon. I don't know. There's I know of an NFL team in Nashville that is talking about needing more speed on offense, and
I've heard
got it right there with Tyjae
Spears.
Spears.
True.
Playmakers are playmakers, and he came in over 200
Bingo.
pounds, which is and he lost nothing. Like, he didn't lose any explosiveness, no speed. Coming in over 200 pounds is really big for a guy his size, and he plays much bigger than that.
5'9", 204, Tyjae Spears.